I am 67 years old, man. I can't keep up this.
Who is your doctor? I need to go see. I need their number.
Yeah, it's me and Lindsay Lohan. We're
That is okay. Sorry,
dude,
that is
fine.
I don't believe that that's actually her. Like it doesn't even look. It's like a new person was
Yeah.
replacing her.
She's like a fembot. What happened?
Yes, it literally. I agreed. There's a few of them like that where I'm like, that is not the
Yeah.
same person.
Christina Aguilera, same thing. Like
100%. Gwen Stefani looks. She's 50. J Lo. They don't look human.
No,
they're superhuman.
I hope to attain that one day.
Me too.
That level of physical inhumanity.
As I start to like, as I'm in this format, I'm like really.
No. You're gorgeous. You're gorgeous. Don't worry about it.
No.
But yeah,
anyway,
no,
but
burnout.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Welcome to another episode of Graphic Content, the podcast where we talk all things who, why, and what the fuck. Today's guest is a self-proclaimed Jane of all trades. She's a book illustrator, graphic, product, and packaging designer. She's an associate creative director, and she's the co-creator of the comic label Studio Alpaca, Angela Hodge. Yay!
Hi, Gio.
OMG, I'm so effing pumped that you're doing this right now. Like,
Dude,
this means so much to me.
it's been a while. It's been a while. We're on the same page there.
No, legit. Like, I'm so happy that you did this. I like made a list at the beginning of the year of like who I wanted to talk to, and you were definitely on there. And I was like, hey, I really want to. I remember us talking about podcasts in the past.
Yes.
And I was like, I didn't know when I was going to do this project and yada yada. And so all this time later, I feel like it was a manifestation all those years ago. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
Yeah, it came full circle. I remember saying to you back in the day, you're like, oh, I used to have a podcast. I'm like, dude, you need to get back into that. You were meant to be seen.
Oh, that's so kind. It's very nerve-wracking, I will say.
Yeah, no kidding. I had butterflies before like you logged me in. I was like, oh God, how's this gonna go?
Listen, you're in good hands. Like you said before we hit record, like we're shooting the shit. Like it's a vibe.
No, dude, it's really good to see you. It's been a really long time. I think we met a few years ago and we just kind of clicked. You were like a consultant that came in like an angel to the company I was working for. And yeah, you and I just became fast friends.
I know. And it's one of those things where, you know, we don't talk every day, but it doesn't matter. Like every time I see you, we connect in such a way that goes beyond the roles of what we were originally.
No, everybody says hi, by the way.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey team.
Hey team.
Okay, so I have a really important question before
Sure.
we get into everything. What is your skincare routine? Because going through the stuff that you sent me, your headshot, I'm like, this woman looks 15. Like, it is crazy to me.
How do you know I'm not? Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off right now because I do the bare minimum.
Me too.
Right? I think there's something to that. I was always told not to touch my face a lot, which I mean, I do.
I can't stop. Yeah.
No, but I use the cheapest moisturizer. It's like Olay. Name drop. Sorry.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Yeah, I just use like Olay. I've been using it since I was really young, like probably 15, 16. My mom was like, you need to use a moisturizer. You're looking a little crusty. It has SPF in it. It's a good routine. So yeah, I just do that. And I literally wash my face with hot water or like warm water. That's it.
I do the same. I'm not like people people comment on my skin and be like, oh, you have great skin. I'm like,
you do.
It's because I don't think I with it with all the chemicals and all of the different products.
Yeah, I mean, some people need it, some people just don't. And with me, I do the bare minimum, and then I wear a very minimum amount of makeup. Like I'm wearing mascara and chapstick right now.
Honestly, minimal beauty tips. I love it.
No, I would never be able to do like a YouTube tutorial on how to apply your makeup. Mine would be 30 seconds long. But
On it.
thank you. I appreciate that though. That's really nice of you to say.
Seriously, I was going through, I was like, I know that like this lady, you always, and I remember when we talked like a couple years ago, and I was like, and I honestly thought you were younger than me. And I was like, oh, she's like got to be like, fresh in the game, like just the energy that you bring to the
Yeah.
table, and not in any way like in
No,
disrespect, like
it's
just
fine.
like a youthful energy. And because I get that too sometimes, where people are like shocked that I'm like, this side of 35.
Horribly immature. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
I'll own it, honestly.
Well, dude, I don't know if you've looked behind me. This is some indication of maybe my personality.
I love it. Okay, so please tell me, like, what is the array of memorabilia that you have behind you?
Whoop. There's an assortment of things, and it's a vast collection from many years. I'll just
I
get out
love
of
it.
the way.
I know. Yeah. Can you
Um,
move? Like,
and there's more. There's other display units around my studio, but
Mhm.
I'm really into collecting Batman paraphernalia. He was my man, way
Mhm.
back in the day. He got me into comic books. Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, She-Hulk. I used to love She-Hulk back in the day. So yeah, I think it was like comic books were a gateway into toy collecting.
Mhm.
And then I remember saying when I was a little kid, I'm like, when I have a job, when I get some money, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a dedicated toy room. And it
Yeah.
was that was my dream. I'm like, I don't even care if I have a house around that toy room. I just want a toy room with
Just a
stuff in it.
cardboard just like laid up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm that homeless person under a bridge, and I'm like, come into my toy room.
Yeah, don't say that around any kids.
No.
That's hilarious.
And
I
that's the
love
other
it.
I wonder if that's the other thing, Gio, is like you and I are not parents. So
That's
we're
why we look younger.
don't say that to parents, man. They don't appreciate that. But it's like I think
Whatever.
it's more like our that childlike sensibility has just carried through. I don't know. I know a lot of immature parents, so maybe that's not the case. But
No, I think it's more like our essence hasn't been stolen from us.
dude, if it was just you and me talking over like, an adult beverage, I might have a different point of view, but I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. That's another thing too, right? Where you're like, oh, when you're like, you should be seen. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But also, the real me, I'm
Yeah.
like, I have to like dilute it by like
Yeah.
10-15%. And by that, I mean like 50% because
Yeah.
like all the I say, like I would say normally, like I can't be putting that out there.
I know.
It's like, that there's like some, I don't know what the terminology is, but something around like like something left the group chat. Like if that was the case, I'd be like, oh yeah, we don't want that content going out into the world because I don't need that out
No,
there.
that'll come back and bite you like 20 years from now.
20, it would be like 5 minutes.
That's true. That's true. I don't know
Someone
how.
out there is gonna hate me and then do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I don't know how things work nowadays.
Girl, I know, right? I feel like even though I'm not boomer vibes, but I still feel everything is going so fast.
I
From when
know.
we were coming out of school to now, I'm
Hmm.
like, it's like a completely different. I don't even know how to catch up. I feel
Yeah.
like even this is all like new to me.
I know. And when we spoke back in the day, 2 years ago, whenever it was, on a professional level, and we were talking about AI, and it was just at the beginning. It was very new,
Oh
very
my god.
fledgling. It had just hit the scene, and now it's just completely taken over, and it's so yeah, it's just infiltrated kind of every realm,
Everything.
every possible realm. It's nuts, and it's really, really hard to keep up.
And part of me is like, I don't want to keep up. Like, I'm not a robot. Like, I don't feel the, especially in our field, in a lot of industries. Let's be real. Like,
Yeah.
like you need to do this. You have to stay up on this. Like, be aware of this technology. Make sure you're. And I'm like, I can't do. I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth.
Hmm.
No pun intended.
No, it's true.
To take all of that on. I think let me do what I can. I'm making it work in my own way. Let's it's working for now. Let's keep it going.
No, absolutely. But it is difficult. I wanted to ask you actually, do you find it tough in our industry with the proliferation of AI just to stay on top of everything, or you're just going with the flow?
I'm going with the flow. Like I will say I'm using it for to help me with certain aspects of my
Yeah,
work. I'm
same.
sure you are in the same boat
Hmm.
where certain things that I find, oh, it's speeding up, especially more like admin stuff.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I use it the most. Like I don't use it at all for creative, in the sense of doing work for me. I think if
right.
it's for like inspiration, I really do like Firefly,
Hmm.
Adobe's AI generator. I think that I use it for ideation for like visual concepts for illustrations.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
if that's something like, okay, let me create this scene out of my head. I'm
Hmm.
trying to draw this scene. That's kind of how I'll use it as a base, but I don't use it to do the work for me.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you do
key.
that?
Totally. I'm on board because I think with AI, I say to my friends who are designers and illustrators, I'm like, look, use it as a tool. The safest hands are our own because
Mhm.
we're not the ones who are going to hijack ourselves. Like use it as a tool, use it conservatively, use it intelligently, and use it in a way that you're not going to eliminate yourself.
Ding,
You know,
ding,
because
ding.
that's key. That's key. But use it as a tool. I mean, it's there at
Yeah.
our disposal, and if we don't utilize it on a daily basis, then we are probably going to be left behind at some point. Like I do feel that way. We
Oh
need to
yeah.
stay current. We need to stay up to date.
Honestly, it's been really good. The one thing I've been recently using it for is, especially when I do an intake with a new client for branding specifically, is to summarize notes for me,
Oh yeah, yeah,
where I'm taking notes as I go, because I personally need to write the notes myself. Like I don't know, like the note takers, I'm like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like for me to process information and to absorb it, I have to write it or type it
yep,
out
yep.
and then have it summarize it for me. And some of it, I'm like, this is better than I could do, and very quickly.
No, I agree. I'm a big note taker too, and I think that's just the way I learn inherently is to write things down, and then that reiteration helps me absorb it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, one of my fears, I guess, with AI is just that people are going to stop knowing how to do things fundamentally.
I mean, it's already happening.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think it's insane the lack of thought
Yeah.
behind, like, oh, let me just this is okay. I'm not going to say names, but I'm going to call I'm going to say a friend of mine a friend of mine asked another friend to write a review for their website, like, hey, can you just write a testimonial for my website? When it was submitted, my one friend goes, did you use Chat GPT for this? She was like, no. And she's like, did you use Chat GPT for this? She's like, no, no, no. I'm like, and I read it. I'm like, she does not talk like that. Like, that is not how she speaks. She does not write like
You're
that.
like,
Like,
repeat it then.
but like, you can't
What was
even
the
write.
sentiment?
I'm sorry, but you can't even write a testimonial for your friend's business of a service that you've used. That to me is wild. You
Yeah.
don't even want to sit for the 5 minutes and think about, okay, you know, dear friend, love your business, like blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like that to me is so wild. I'm like, come on, people, come
I know.
on,
It's
we're losing
yeah.
the plot.
It's disingenuous, right? Like,
Yeah,
come on, man. Like if we've learned anything in the last 2 years, it's that AI is really good at data, just cold
yes.
calculating information, but you need the human being to be there to warm it up, to add some humanity to it. So I think it's always good as a framework, and then you need to add the human touch.
The meat on the bone is
Yes.
where
Yeah,
we come in, right?
totally.
I At first, we have associates creatives. It's like, oh, we're going to be replaced, and I think about not 100%. I really don't think that it will. Not maybe not in our lifetime, but who knows? I don't know. Things are
Not
moving
gonna
so.
lie though, I keep getting targeted ads to go back to school to be like a plumber and an electrician. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Oh, do you know that women can get like free education to go be a carpenter?
Really?
Yeah. I was getting targeted ads in my Instagram. I'm like, what is the world trying to tell me right now? The trades. Oh my God.
Switch it up. You're not going to be able to do this long term. That is so depressing.
It's interesting though, because it's probably an AI sending me this algorithmic information, and I'm like just being manipulated every step of the way.
Honestly, though, I'm so over it. Like I am trying not to let it make me feel too depressed, because I also, as you know, you have had so many different jobs, and I think that
Mhm.
with the amount of experience that we both have, which is really crazy to think,
It's
like
crazy.
how fast it accumulates because
I
the
know.
years just pile on really
Yeah.
quickly. But I think about all of the different jobs that you've had in your career. And so talk to me a little bit about, because I do want to go back to the comment about Batman.
Okay.
So not like an origin story, but also kind of origin story.
Everybody knows
Um,
that origin story.
yeah, well, I actually don't really know the Batman origin story. Sorry.
Ugh.
You're like logging off.
Where have you been the last 80 years?
I don't know. I'm a homo. I don't really like. I'm not a comic book gay.
Dude, it's pretty classic. You know his parents got shot in an alley and he was traumatized and
Was he an orphan?
he became an orphan. He was raised by his butler Alfred, and then
Oh, I did know that.
yeah, and he's a billionaire, so he has the resources to build all this crazy equipment, and yet nobody puts two and two together that maybe the guy driving around the, $1 million car with all of the incredible technology is maybe Bruce Wayne.
Is Superman also an orphan?
In a sense, because he came from Krypton, right? And his planet exploded, and his parents, his original birth parents, sent him out into outer space, and he landed on Earth, and then he was adopted by two Earthlings. So, I mean, he was no longer an orphan. God, dude, I'm sounding super nerdy right now.
No, listen. You don't have to sound. Look behind you. Like, come on. Sounding, looking. I love it.
Yeah, it's true. I,
There's
I'm I'm nothing if not a consistent brand, really.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I honestly love. Like I have like nerdy tendencies, like for
Yeah,
sure. There's certain
yeah,
things that I nerd out about, whatever. Everybody has that to say, like unless, and if you don't, honestly, my own opinion, get a fucking hobby, like figure it out. You know what I mean? So okay, as a kid, like what was the thing that kind of got you into creative? Because you've been on a path where you have done so many different gigs in the creative sphere. And
yeah.
so like what was that, like what was your origin story when it comes to getting into that world?
Um, I actually started drawing from a really, really young age. I was hell bent on becoming a book illustrator at some point. So when I was really, really young, I used to create my own characters and fill books full of really strange little doodles. And I think how I started getting into comic books proper was I have two older brothers, and that always helps to get you into anything really because you look up to them. And they were really into comic books. And I remember I think we used to go to Montreal to the comic book store because I grew up in a small town in Quebec in the Eastern Townships, and there were no comic book stores. So my parents would have to bring us to go see my grandparents. And then en route, we're like, can we go to the comic book store? Like that was one of the stops. So I would buy just the bargain bin comic books that were on sale. And then I would redraw a lot of the images. And that really helped. And I remember people saying to me later on, like, oh, it's plagiarism. I'm like, no, it's not plagiarism. It's not like I was saying, this is my work.
Yeah.
I'm going to get paid for this. I'm not an AI. I'm not going to pass it off as my work. It was a tool to learn how to draw anatomy
Yes.
and right. And that was the best way that I could learn. By the age of 12, I was pretty proficient at drawing any image that I could look at. So,
Mm.
and specifically like the comic book style, I loved Kelly Jones, who was a comic book artist at the time in the 90s. I'm going to age myself. Uh, and I honestly thought Kelly Jones was a female illustrator. So I was like really into that style. And then later on found out that it was a dude. And I was like, oh, come on. Come on. So yeah, so that's kind of how I learned how to draw. And that ability kind of got me into, I studied art all through high school, all through college. I
Hmm.
went to two different colleges. I started out by going to fine arts in Quebec in Cégep.
Hmm.
And I studied, painting, drawing, life drawing, all the fundamentals, sculpture, pottery. And then that allowed me to get a good enough portfolio together to go to Sheridan College in Oakville. And that was an incredibly difficult program. I studied illustration there,
Very
and
different.
yeah, it's tough because they only accept a very small percentage of applicants. And because I was out of province, they sent me a letter maybe 2 months before school started. And they're just like, sorry, you're from out of province. We're looking at all in province applicants first. So you're probably not going to make the cut. And they crushed my little like 19-year-old soul.
Oh.
And I just had my heart set on that one college.
Yeah.
And then I swear to God, a week or two later, I got a letter with my acceptance letter. Why?
Fate.
Dude, but
It was
why?
meant to be.
Why would they do that to me?
Honestly, priming you for the disappointment of life.
Like, oh, you want to be an illustrator? Yeah.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for some crushing defeat.
Soul crushing defeat.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's how I kind of got into Sheridan. That's where I met my future partner. He's over there. He's still in bed. And yeah, and all of my lifelong friends. And that kind of started my career, which ended up being really varied.
But this is the thing. I really like the fact that even for myself, like having done so many different jobs, like I've been in design, that's the majority of my life. But the fact that we are able, especially with our approach to creative, kind
Mhm.
of morph into different roles. And I feel like that to me is I enjoy it because it actually gives me a bit more of a like holistic view of how I approach work in general.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I know we've had this conversation before too, that we're both illustrators, and that sensibility of being like an artist and being able to draw really well really helps with the graphic design element. It just
Hmm.
gives you this innate like sensibility when you're designing. You know if something looks off. You know if something, isn't
Yeah.
working, because you and then you can kind of like jot down how it should look. Like all of these skills are interchangeable.
Oh, literally, I'm in a meeting. So a friend of mine, we're currently putting together an application for this design competition,
Ooh.
and I never do stuff like that. And he goes, "Hey, there's this potential thing that he is an ideas man." Okay,
Mhm.
he and I have worked on multiple projects together over the years. Shout out Ira.
What up,
We
Ira?
Yeah, I need to put that meh, 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 meh. But no, so we're working on this project and we are so efficient in our back and forth. We usually meet once a week. It's been about 3 weeks we've been working on this,
Mhm.
and in that hour we are so productive with just like the back and forth, and I can quickly sketch out his what he's thinking, and I'll just like have my iPad and boom over our Zoom call, and he's like, "Yep, done. Okay, let's move on. Like,
Nice.
let's do it." Talking about like going back to anatomy, because this is always a thing that illustrators talk about, but
Mhm.
the hands,
Yep.
I still to this day have issues drawing hands.
Yeah.
So like when you were in the anatomy, like really building up that skill, like
Mhm.
what was your approach to hands? Because I still to this day I'm like I drawing people like this.
Yeah. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, so anatomy is incredibly difficult for any artist, but it's like any other muscle. You just have to keep working at it, and
Hmm.
eventually it'll become second nature. So when I was younger, I didn't have much of a problem with it because again, I was copying illustrations that were already, from my point of view, pretty good. So the anatomy
Hmm.
looked great and I could copy them almost verbatim. But when I became older and was studying life drawing at like Sheridan College, it became an issue where the teachers were kind of forcing it on us. So they said, we don't want any completed drawings with no faces and no hands, because faces and hands are the two most difficult things. Anybody can plot out a torso or a general kind of pose, but
Hmm.
getting those details and getting the likeness is incredibly difficult. They fostered that within all of the students, is that you had to focus on hands and faces, and you weren't allowed to submit any finalized illustrations unless the person's back was turned. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
without a face and hands.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when I was going to Sheridan, our biggest kind of competitor school wise was OCAD, right? We were always
That's
like
where
head to
I
head, right?
went.
And yeah, and we were had very similar courses, very similar sensibility. But I remember my one of my professors saying like, I went to one of the art shows and guess what all the life drawings look like? They were headless and they were handless. So that became our little like, oh, look at us. Yeah, monocle adjustment. Yeah, so that was incredibly significant. So honestly, it's just practice. It's really just practice. And
Hmm.
and you spend a lot of hours looking at your own hand and trying to just reproduce it. It is really difficult. Hands are weird, man. And there are lots of tutorials online to break it down geometrically and then figure it out from there, but they're not easy.
They're not easy. That's the
No.
one thing I still struggle with, especially with I'm working on this one project where it's a lot of illustration, and I'm always doing what you're
You're
saying,
like,
where I will take no, I'm looking up pictures
yeah,
online and I'm taking screenshots just to like add, because like I'm like I also time, right? I'm not AI, so I can't generate these illustrations quickly. So I'm like, what can I do?
yeah.
And using that, but
I will say
um
this though, like having smartphones and being able to photograph anything is so helpful.
very
When I
helpful.
was in school, like I didn't have that. I didn't even have a digital camera. So being able to capture a pose and just using a lot of photographic reference until you get really accustomed to it is, I think that will help. That's pretty essential.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with it to this day. Like I just like, and like who has the time? Like in your intake form when you're like, the little free time that I have, you'd put that. I'm like, yeah, I agree. Like I barely have free time these days.
Yeah. And nowadays I'm trying to be more conscious of how I utilize my free time.
And so like, what are you doing to be conscious?
What are you doing?
No, I'm like
God,
I'm like it's more like
so
asking for a friend.
boring. Okay, well, what am I doing in my free time in terms of
No, like what are you doing to like strike the balance?
okay, so I will give you a little bit of a backstory, but last year, I touched on this slightly when I spoke to you a few months
Hmm.
ago, but I had a really, really bad year. It was a really bad year, and I don't want to get into too many details because it's a bummer, but
Yeah,
but also it involves other people in my life, and I don't want to divulge that information. But
yeah.
there was some burnout involved. I burned out pretty badly last May, so it was almost a year ago, and and it was because I was absolutely burning the candle at both ends. And I think part of it is just we are products of our environment, this society. I live in the GTA. It's incredibly expensive. And I just felt this internal push to constantly be doing something, constantly be making money. And I turned myself into an absolute workaholic. So I was working my full time job, 9 to 5. I would log off, take the dog for a walk, eat dinner, and get right back to work. And I
Hmm.
was working like a freelance job, and I was working on our comic books simultaneously, which I'm sure we'll touch on later.
We
But
absolutely will. Don't worry.
but
Don't
yeah,
worry.
so I was doing essentially like 3 jobs at the same time, and it just became too much, and I got really, really sick. I was getting chronic migraines and just it was too much for me. I think my brain actually misfired and I just like shorted out. So that was a huge eye-opening experience for me, and I realized I needed to make like a life change, like a fundamental change to my schedule. I wasn't sleeping too, and that
Because
doesn't
your
help.
brain doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. And the problem is like when you work constantly, even though your body's tired and you're ready to start unwinding and go to sleep, your brain is still functioning,
It's not gonna let you,
right? And then you don't sleep, and then you rinse and repeat the next day.
girl.
And that's not sustainable, especially at my age. I am
Oh.
67 years old, man. I can't keep up this.
Who is your doctor? I need to go see. I need their number.
Yeah, it's me and Lindsay Lohan.
That is okay. Sorry.
Dude,
That is
it's fine.
I don't believe that that's actually her. Like it doesn't even look. It's like a new person was
Yeah,
replacing her.
she's like a fembot. What happened there?
Yes, it literally. I agreed. There's a few of them like that where I'm like, that is not the
Yeah,
same person. But
Christina Aguilera, same thing. Like stunning.
100%. Gwen Stefani
Jeez
looks. She's
Louise.
50. J Lo. They don't look human. They're
No, no.
superhuman.
I hope to attain that one day.
Me
That
too.
level of physical inhumanity.
As I start to like, as I'm in this format, I'm like really
No, you're
start.
gorgeous. You're gorgeous. Don't worry about it.
No.
But yeah,
Anyway,
no
but
burnout.
burnout. Yeah.
Oh God, dude. Honestly, a sense of humor helps,
Yes,
right?
100%.
It contextualizes everything.
Yes.
It keeps you sane. Like we had some dark days last year. And the
Mhm.
only thing that kept me sane was just cracking wise the whole time. So now I do my full-time job. I log off, take the dog for a walk, I have dinner, and then I don't do anything.
Mhm.
I do personal things. I
Mhm.
might draw, I might paint to unwind because I find that cathartic. I'm learning Spanish. That's a good
Oh, wow.
supplement for my brain because I need some stimulus.
You need to use it in
I
some
need to
way.
use it. And but I'm not doing much in the way of freelance right now. I'm kind of taking it easy
Your back burner.
and I'm sleeping again.
Honestly, I don't know your how, like, if you have any beliefs in like higher power or synchronicities or whatever, but for me personally, this conversation is actually coming in at like such an uh key moment in my
Oh,
life because I'm feeling exactly what you're describing.
yeah.
Not in like the way where I am like last year was what you're describing was exactly how I felt.
Mhm.
I just felt unmotivated. I wasn't working that much. I will say it was the opposite, where it was not. I wasn't burnout. It was more like I just don't have it in me to push. And it was, I think, because I had just been running on empty for so long. And even just yesterday, I had a conversation with Tyler, my boyfriend, about I'm I'm doing the most right now. I'm
Yeah.
doing too many things. Because I started the year being like, I want to like really expand the business this year. I want to get like last year was so slow for me that I kind of snapped out of it and was like, all right, we're pulling up our bootstraps. Let's get to work and
Yeah.
do the damn thing. You've been thinking about the podcast. I'm going to make it happen. But I'm doing a lot of it on my own. And so
Good.
now I'm at a point.
Yeah.
It's great, but I'm
It's
at a
great.
point now
Yeah.
where I know that if I'm going to keep this going, which I want to, I need to bring in another person. I
Yeah.
need additional help. I need to alleviate because I have like 18 projects on the go. I have 13 clients right now. That
Mhm.
is insane.
Yeah.
And the podcast I'm doing full time, so it's all wonderful and I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be, but like you're saying, we're human. We need to
Mhm.
take some time, and that is something that I've had programmed into me, is to work. I come from immigrants so they're like, work is your identity, and now as a 37-year-old I'm like, okay, well, let's try to let's try to suss out other
Yeah.
parts of our
You need
being.
to cull back. It's not sustainable. But I mean,
No.
I think you need those moments to bring you back to reality and make you
Hmm.
reassess and make you realize what's important and what's not important. And yeah, no, it was just it was too much. And it's another funny story. So, well, I think they're funny. I don't know. But last year when I was going
I
through all of
wouldn't have
this,
asked you to do this if I didn't think it would be a good conversation.
a
I'm not
good,
gonna reach out to you and
yeah,
be like, "Oh, you're boring ass bitch." Like,
yeah,
let's talk.
so true. That's why, yeah, that's why Gio's drinking a Coke at 11:30 in the morning.
Oh no, it's iced coffee.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Anytime
Well,
I don't drink Coca-Cola. I don't drink
cheers.
pop.
Cheers. Okay.
Cheers. Yeah.
Yeah, so last year when I was getting like those chronic migraines, I was just looking for any kind of relief. So I went to an acupuncturist, which I'm not I do believe in non-traditional methods as well as traditional methods. I think you still need a doctor, but I do think there is some validity in some of these kind of old practices. So I was like, and plus I was willing to give anything a try at that point.
Yeah.
So I went to this acupuncturist. They were kind of like leading in their field in terms of migraine relief. So I went to go see them, and immediately I got the sense that this person was a salesman.
Mm,
Not He wasn't there. I'm gonna just he It was a he. He wasn't there to strictly just help me and relieve me of pain. He was trying to upsell me the entire time.
okay.
So when I walked in through those doors, I just got a really weird vibe. And thank God my boyfriend was with me because I wouldn't have wanted to be there alone. Plus, I wasn't feeling well. So he sat there and he gave me a sales pitch for about an hour. And I'm like looking at my watch, like, when is the actual
TikTok.
treatment gonna happen? Right?
Yeah.
Think like I have insurance, but yo, like this is a waste
Hmm.
of my time. So he made very intense eye contact with me, right? Big sales tactic, don't break eye contact,
Yeah, I hate
try to
that.
upsell. And before he even started the treatment, just based on the information I gave him, he's like, I want to see you twice a week for 6 months straight.
That's
without even
crazy.
starting one treatment yet. And I was like, you haven't done anything yet. Why are you giving me a treatment plan when you don't even know if one treatment's going to do anything or two treatments going to do anything? This was just what he determined was a good idea. And when I did the calculations in my head, I'm like, he's looking for 5 to 10 grand from me right now, and my insurance covers $500.
That's wild.
So I'm like, just sitting there nodding, okay. And I wanted the first treatment because now I was just curious. I wanted this old goblin of a man to stick needles in my body. So, so eventually he actually got to the treatment.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking he's going to stick needles in my head because I'm getting migraines. And he stuck them in my feet, which
Yeah.
have very little flesh, and my nail bed, which also has very little flesh. So when they say acupuncture doesn't hurt, I was like, who the is saying that?
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in because I will say don't let him ruin your experience of it because I don't know if you've done any after that, but to me,
Not yet, not yet.
that was a bad that's not the vibe because I've gone
Yes.
to acupuncturists and they've helped me tremendously where there's no
Yes.
salesy.
Yep.
They and also a lot of times if it's the area in which that they're treating, they don't actually ever treat that area
Yes. Yeah.
because if you look at the
There's
big
chakras and stuff. I don't know.
no, but like the images that they have. See, you and I are very different. The way you're like, yeah, like I'm kind of open to these like alternate, whereas I'm like the opposite. I'm like, fuck the medical system. I'm like everything you have to be your own advocate and
Hmm.
go about it a different way.
You do. You do.
Especially I have people in my life who, especially women who I'm sorry, but are not treated in the same way that we are as
No.
men.
Or gaslit
And
all the time. I agree.
100%. And
Yep.
so I know women in my life who are like, I have to go out of my way
Hmm.
to find methods that will allow me to live my life better
Yeah.
because I go to the doctor and they just want to give me medication that doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you do need a balance of the two, though. Like, I don't think you should just stop. If you have cancer, maybe go see.
that's different though. I'm saying,
But yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I,
that's,
I mean, you need to have a balance. You can't go one or the other extreme, right? But whatever. There was a weird part to this story, or something I took away from this story was that
mhm.
he was a crackpot, and I found out afterwards, dude flies around in a private jet. So clearly, his sales tactics work on a lot of people. But one thing he said to me resonated. One thing I took away from that was when I told him about my schedule, he said to me, he's like, you know what a yin yang is? And I'm like, yeah, it's the black and white symbol, dot here, dot there, whatever. And he's like, yeah, and it's all about balance. And he's like, you have too much yin in your yang. And I was
Yeah.
like, excuse me? No, but it's true. And like, it's one of those statements where you can listen to that and be like, what the hell does that even mean? But
Mhm.
when you break it down, he was right. I had too much work in my life and not enough respite, not enough, coming down from working all day. And that was the one thing I took to heart. And I was like, you know what? That was actually worth my time and money, just
Yeah.
that one little nugget of wisdom. He also told me, like, oh, well, your room is too hot. That's why you're not sleeping. Turn your thermostat down exactly 2 degrees. And I'm like, you don't know what temperature my room's at. Maybe he does. Maybe he's
Yeah,
an
you don't know me better.
omnipotent gnome. Anyway, wasn't a fan.
Sometimes we go through experiences where it's a big kerfuffle, a bunch of bullshit, but
Hmm.
that little nugget is all that was meant to sink into your brain
Yep.
for you to like take something to move forward from. And it sounds like you got something out of it, even though, let's be real, he sounds like, not the one that you want. Like, I'm assuming that was it. You just went once.
Oh yeah, yeah. Dude, I couldn't have afforded it anyway. What the hell? Who can go to 2 treatments a week? Really? In our like in our normal society where you're working every day. And it was like 2 hours twice a week? It's not going to happen.
It's not even that, it's the cost.
And the monetary. Yeah, no, it was
Even
insane. Plus he was a
even
creep, so no.
yeah, you're like, please don't. It's so funny. So when I was going to about a year, almost 2 years ago now, I was going to an acupuncturist, and she's old school. Like this old Chinese woman, she does it out of her house, like she's like the real deal. And going in there, I was like, what am I getting into? She barely spoke to me. She'd ask me like the most minimal questions, like, what's wrong with you? What are your symptoms? And I don't want to get into like all the details of what was going on, but
Sure.
she's like, Kate, lay down. take this off, like clothing wise, like whatever. Administers the needles, barely speaks to me, and then leaves for 20 minutes. And I'm just sitting there, and she's like, "Don't move." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh my God." But she helped me so much. It's just the interaction. And for like $50 a pop, it was like the best,
Nice.
to the point. Like at first, and once I got used to her ways, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like I get it. But she didn't try to sell me anything. It was like the opposite of your experience.
Dude, I need her number.
You're gonna drive all the way to Windsor
I might.
for the pain relief.
For $50, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, honestly though. So I want to talk a little bit about Studio Alpaca. So you had mentioned a bit about the comics thing and your history with illustration. So talk to me a little bit about how that came to be and what birthed the idea.
Okay. I totally lit up when you said that. It was before the pandemic. It was the before times. So that feels like 50 years ago. I'm thinking it was 2018.
When you were 17?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I was 60. So my friend Benjamin Hunting, I've known him. He's the writer of the books. I've known him since we were 12, maybe. And he's just one of these really prolific, highly intelligent guys who always has an idea. I've worked on projects with him in the past, just bizarre things, but he always used to come to me when he had ideas. So he did a website at one point. I worked on it with him. I've illustrated book covers for him before. I've done various illustrations. So when he came to me, he goes, "Ange, I have an idea for a comic book series called Code 45." So that was the first series that we worked on. And he said, "Can you illustrate it for me?" And I mean, I have done children's book illustrations in the past. I hadn't really done much sequential art in terms of comic books since I was a kid, and I never really got into doing panel work, and that's really difficult. That's really time consuming. So I said, "Yeah, no, but I do happen to live with a comic book illustrator." My boyfriend Joe has been a comic book illustrator or comic book artist since his early 20s. He's been working in the industry, and at the time he was kind of in a lull. It must have been around 2019. So I was like, maybe approach Joe, like we can talk as a group. And I'm like, "I'll do the design." And then he's like, "I also need a letterer for the book." And I'm like, how hard can lettering be? I'll do the lettering.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, "I will barely charge you anything because I just want to do something fun. Like I need a passion project," which is a no for like creatives, but it was just something I wanted to do. Never undercut yourself, people. But this one instance, I just
we all
he's a
do it.
friend,
Don't worry.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we got started. And then Joe was all for the story. So the main story was, it's set in Montreal. It's a young woman who drives subway trains, like the metro in your namesake, Geo Metro. She drives the she drives the metro in Montreal, and she starts hearing legends or myths that there are dragons living in the tunnels, in the subway tunnels, because there are a lot of like abandoned subway tunnels in Montreal. This is actually true. And apparently, I don't know if this aspect's true, but Ben wrote it into the story because he was really into the rave culture of the 90s. He actually used to throw raves and do his own parties and stuff. So he wrote it in that they would go down into these abandoned tunnels and throw these massive raves, right? And then the vibrations and the sounds would kind of aggravate these creatures living in the tunnels. And anyways, this whole like universe that he built around that storyline. And we were in. We were like, yeah, I mean, we get to tell a story that's based in Canada, which is pretty effing sweet. And we get to make it our own. We get to make our own world. And we decided from the beginning we were going to be three-way partners. Like we were going to split the property 33% across the board. So that's kind of how we got started with Code 45. And after the first issue, which we completed it, I forget in how long, a few months probably, we decided to start shopping it around to publishers. And it was black and white at the time. And we had a friend of ours, Josh, he's a colorist. He did the cover artwork. He colored it for Joe. And then we started, shopping it around. So we went to Image Comics. We went to, I think, Dark Horse at the time, Scout Comics, and a variety of other smaller publishers. And our main idea when we were looking for a publisher was to keep our IP, because that is 100% key when you're starting something like this, is to try to keep the intellectual property. And if you go to like a Marvel or a DC, you're handing away your rights,
100%.
right? So yes, you'll get like the notoriety, you'll get, the monetary aspect behind the brand, but you hand away the rights to your property. So we were very keen on keeping that. So we shopped around the first issue, and we approached a variety of publishers, and we got a few responses, but one publisher was like, yep, I'm doing it, I want to publish your book. And it was Scout Comics, and they're situated in Florida, I believe. And they had only seen the first issue, and we decided we wanted to do a 5 or 6 issue run. They hadn't barely even seen the rest of the story, and they're like, we don't care, we like where
We
this is
love it.
going, we have faith in you guys, and we want to publish the full run of your book. So we got a publishing deal, and this was December of 2019. We signed the deal for our publisher. But he said, or the publisher said, you need to color the rest of the book, which is, it's fine, but it's also an undertaking. And we hadn't been paid anything. When you sign a deal with a publisher, you're not Stephen King. They're not handing you a massive advance, right? So
Yeah.
you're doing this on your own dime. So it is a massive undertaking. So Joe still needed to get paid. So Ben, the writer, was paying Joe out of his own pocket, right? Because that's his livelihood. He can't work for 6 months and not get paid.
Yeah, I know.
I was pro bono because I was like, look, I'm a third partner in this. I'll do the layout. Book layouts are easy for me. I have a background in magazines. I can do this super fast. And I'll throw the lettering in, which actually ended up being really hard. And there's a whole science behind it.
I
It's
couldn't
a
imagine
whole other art
making it all
form.
fit. Making it all fit is,
Dude, it's an art form unto itself. There are all these rules when it comes to comic book lettering. So, which I had to learn along the way. But yeah, so Ben was paying us out of his own pocket, and we decided at that moment we needed to do a Kickstarter, because there's no way that you can just keep doing that. And now he expected the book to be colored. We needed to pay our friend Josh to color the book, and like 3 or 4 or 5 other books moving forward. So we said to the publisher, how do you feel about us doing a Kickstarter? And they said, yeah, most of our creatives do, because the comic book industry, I mean, they're hurting. All print media is hurting right now.
yeah.
Because they're not giving you any kind of advance. They expect you to fund the entire book yourself, hand them the final product, and then they publish it.
And they profit off of it.
They slap their logo on it.
Yeah.
So that got us started doing the Kickstarters. And I think we did 3. So we did issue 1, which was fully funded in 24 hours.
I know. I remember when you were going through that process.
Yeah. Wild.
What you had posted about it, or we had talked about it, and I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is wild.
But one thing I think people need to know about Kickstarters is, like, you can't just do a Kickstarter. You have to do at least 3-4 months of publicity before the Kickstarter. You have to get people excited, engaged, create a newsletter, make sure that you have a fan base before, because nobody knew who we were.
Yeah.
And then do the Kickstarter. So yeah, we fully funded in 24 hours. And then we did issues 2 and 3 as one Kickstarter, and 4 and 5 as the third Kickstarter. All 3 were fully funded within weeks. And that allowed us to finish the book, which was then published by Scout as
That's
5
amazing.
separate issues. And then they did a graphic novel at the end. So that has nothing to do with Studio Alpaca. But there's a lead up. So that experience gave us enough experience to know how to handle our second book. So our second book was Code 45, and we decided to self-publish and create our own comic book publishing company, or we call it a creative collective called Studio Alpaca. So now we produce books under our own label, and we do our own thing, and we do our own Kickstarters, and we're not under the gun to work within any kind of system except our own.
Honestly, that's the world we live in, is just it's doing it for yourself. I feel that I am in the same world where I am like, why are we the hoops that you have to jump through, and all for like minimal payoff, yes, there's exposure, and it's
Yeah.
almost like you have to pick and choose which projects where you're like, okay, this is I can see the validity in this venture in order to, get more exposure
Yeah.
or to get, but like, and I'm not talking like, getting on not being paid for exposure. I mean, just, this platform is going to be more visibility for me. But a lot of the times I'm in the same boat as you, where I feel like a lot of self-directed projects are the way to go because you have way more control.
Hmm.
And I feel like the outcome is much more what's the word I'm thinking of?
Fulfilling.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good guess. Lucky guess.
Yeah.
No, it's true, and I think we learned getting our book published that it was it was a time investment. It was a lot of money on our end. Like you
Mhm.
just assume, oh, you're going to get published, you're going to make money. We made $0 off of our publishing deal. So all 5 issues were published and we got a graphic novel. And every month we would get a financial statement and they're like, you're at 0 this month. And we're like, when are we going to start making money? We didn't really make any money off of our published books. So when it
Wow.
came to Dead Air, we were like, well, what's the point? We might as well just kickstart it ourselves, do
Mhm.
our own thing. And if we still don't make any money, then that's fine. We'll break even, you know? But to get that financial statement from a publisher every month that you're in the hole or you're at 0, it was so defeating.
Yeah. And so like with the self-publishing, like how do you approach that? Like what's the process and how do you do it? Because I have no idea. Like I've never self-published anything.
So with us, what we did was we just did a Kickstarter. So we did the same process of getting the book completed. I wasn't doing the lettering on Dead Air because it ended up being a big task. I'm just strictly the graphic designer, so I put the book together. I did the logo and branding and all that stuff,
It
all
looks
that fun
great.
stuff, and then any internal assets that we might need. So with Dead Air, we decided to really flesh out the world. We went into really great detail. So this one is also set in Quebec, in the Eastern Townships where I grew up and where Ben grew up, and it's set at a fictionalized version of the university and college that we went to in Quebec. So he was really into um, being a DJ, like a radio DJ for the university at the time. So it's kind of set in that world. We call it like a sci-fi with a soundtrack.
I love it. Oh my
He's
God, that's
like
so
he even
fun.
started a radio show and I think it's still currently running back home, and he does like a dead air radio show
I
and
saw it on
every
the website.
nice
The
and
SoundCloud?
yeah, yeah, and every week he will do a different characters because one character's really into Britpop, another character's into heavy metal, whatever, right? And he'll do like a show pretending to be that character every week, or not pretending to be that character, but like that character's show every week. So yeah, so we really tried to create this really intense, holistic universe surrounding Dead Air, and it's been really fun. So a lot of the assets that I create are like pamphlets for fake kind of cults
Parties?
or yeah, parties. Yeah, I do posters for like the radio shows, or but there's a cult in the book, so I did pamphlets for the fake cult, and it's just kind of fun stuff like that. But yeah, no, and so getting back to your question from like 10 minutes ago, uh,
That's
my
the point.
brain, dude.
Listen, we're here to talk. Like
I sometimes wonder if I have ADHD.
girl, I feel like let's not go there because I feel like a friend of mine was describing like, oh yeah, the diagnosis is all these symptoms, and I'm like, God, I might check off like 90% of
That's like
those.
every creative I know. Um, yeah, so that's how we approached the book itself, is that we kind of just approached it the same way as Code 45. We got our
Mhm.
creatives in line, everybody worked on it. I think Ben kind of uh he fronted like the financials up front, and then we did the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter helped to reimburse him and then also fulfill the printed books and the various like tiers that we offered. So when I say self-publishing, I mean like the book's out there with our branding on it, and then when it's completed, then we decide what to do with it next. If we want to take a completed book to another publisher, we can do that, right? Because that gives us an option. It's already done.
Right.
Then we're not under the gun to create something that is going to cost us time and money. It's already done, and then we can shop it around to producers or Netflix, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
No, think big. Honestly,
Yeah.
I am. You don't even the like I don't know thing. I'm like, get that, even that word, get rid of it, get that out of your head, because
Out
to
of our
me,
vernacular.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's true, because I'm like, who, you have no idea who's watching, who's going to see you
Mhm.
in doing your thing. I could totally see it, especially because even hearing you talking about your involvement in creating that world, that in itself is the whole point of storytelling, because you gave me the first copy, I think it was the first edition
Mhm.
of the comic book,
Yeah.
and the aspects of the Canadian aspect, the rave culture, that in itself, I was already gravitating towards it, because I'm like, this, I can relate to this in my own world, because I used to be that club kid, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Going out to bars all the time. And to think about this like fantastical world where there's like underground creatures, and it was very interesting. And so I just hearing how you're crafting a story and creating a world that people can immerse themselves in,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's something to be said about that. And so I can definitely see that becoming something big, and I would honestly be so happy for you if that was to manifest.
Dude, you can be in my Netflix show.
Oh my god, yes.
That was one of the things that we spoke about. We're like, "So all of our friends can be in it, right? Like, we're gonna need a
Oh,
lot of people for those rave scenes."
oh my god. And also, if you need a voice actor, I
Oh,
can do that.
how fun would that be? The world needs more creatives, more interesting ideas, because, I mean, Hollywood in particular is just recycling stuff
It's
over and over
brutal.
again. Yeah. So I don't know if you know who Todd McFarlane is. I'm gonna guess not because it's a comic book guy. Okay, so it's fine. It's fine. Uh,
At least I'm pretty. Just kidding.
oh my god, no, you're not kidding. You're not. Take that out of your vernacular. Um, so he's the creator of Image Comics, and he's a Canadian guy. He's from Alberta, and he's also the creator of Spawn. So he created a
Okay.
lot of big comic book heroes in the 90s. So in the 90s, if you were a comic book creator like a Jim Lee is
Mhm,
basically the head honcho at DC Comics
mhm.
right now, and he's a millionaire. And Todd McFarlane is a millionaire. A lot of these guys from the 90s are multi-millionaires.
Like
And they
licensing
decided
deals?
to what's that?
Licensing?
Yeah, and like times were just different, right? Now you can't sell 2 million books of anything, probably.
No, no.
But back then they could. So they were working for Marvel DC back and forth. And they decided, I think they were in their 20s at the time, to break off and start their own comic book company called Image Comics. Bunch of young guys, and they took all the best talents with them. What a pimp move,
Mhm.
right? And they broke off, made Image Comics. And when they first started selling, they outsold the two major publishers
I love
like
it.
that. And the biggest thing about Image Comics is that everybody keeps their IP. Game changer, right? So I met Todd McFarlane at a Comic-Con in Hawaii, just dropping names,
NBD.
dropping locations, no big deal. A few years ago, and he was doing just a talk, right? And he said, "Get your ideas out there. No one's gonna like look for you. You need to like put yourself out there, put your ideas out there, because there is a lack of really interesting creative properties out there." So he's like, just do it, just do it. And that was the main uh,
Push?
emphasis of his speech. And it's true, you know, like no one's gonna come to you and be like, "What ideas do you have?"
No.
After he got off stage, I went over to him and I was like, "Hey, I'm a Canadian too." That's how I that's how
Yeah.
I approached him. "Hey, I'm a Canuck." So we struck up a bit of a conversation, and super nice guy. But I was like, "Oh my god, he's right. Like that's how you do it. You know, just get your ideas out there. Take a chance, take a shot."
I think that's how my whole adult life has been. I always am trying to work on anything that seems interesting to me, and if I have somebody who wants to work with me on something, I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to be particular about what I take on, because you can't do everything. Like you said, like you get burnout really fast.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there's something to be said about working on things with the drive of, I want to work with cool people on cool concepts, be creative, and flex that muscle, because that is also something that I think gets lost in especially in corporate world where we are able to work creatively, but it's not always the most, it's not something that's like intrinsically from the soul, if that makes sense. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So because you're
No,
like,
it makes perfect sense because it's being dictated every step of the way, and it's not your vision. You're working within the confines of someone else's vision.
I will say, on to some extent though, for I speak for myself in this, like I find, especially now because I'm a much more confident in what I bring to the table, and I feel like I am definitely directing the ship. You
Mm.
know what I mean? In a lot of ways, and it's more there's a lot of co-creation in my world, just because I'm also not a conglomerate. I'm a smaller entity, and so I'm able to work more one-to-one with individuals and smaller groups of entrepreneurs where I can help bring their vision to life. So it's a bit more co-creation at this point. But having worked in my previous world, absolutely,
Mhm.
there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to the creativity you can bring to the table. And so that's why, like, you take the pause you need, and I'm not telling you how to live your life, but take the pause for now, and then once you get back into it, you'll be galvanized again. It'll be something where the energy will be there to bring it back to life and hit the ground running in the next phase of this project.
I'm gonna have that tattooed. I don't know where I can find the space. Maybe my back? That's a big quote.
Are you tatted?
No.
Oh.
You know why? I don't know. My boyfriend and I have had this conversation, but we both have such critical creative eyes that I don't think I would get a tattoo and then 2 days later I'd be like, this looks like the proportions are off, that line blew out. I'd be a mess. I would be staring at it constantly. I need to have this removed. I don't think I'd be able to.
Yeah, I don't have any tattoos either, and it's for the exact same reason. Like, people are like, "Oh, you're a graphic designer, you don't have tattoos." I'm like, "Yeah, because I don't want to brand myself in a way that is permanent, because I also change my I just you change things about who you are and
Yep.
what you like, and I just don't want something that I'm going to regret in 5 years, because I think
No,
about
you're
things
right.
that clothing I wore. I'm like, "I can't believe I
Mhm.
wore that. Thank God it's not permanent."
Dude, can you imagine if we had like our at 18, our clothes tattooed on us? Like that's your style for life.
Me at 18 was not cute.
I was going I was going through a hippie phase at 18. I had bell bottoms and
I
tie
love
dyes.
it. I could see that. I literally thinking about coming into this recording, and I could just hear you being like, "Dude." Like, I could just hear you saying, "Dude."
I heard on the radio the other day that there are some words in our lexicon that are becoming like archaic and out of date, and dude was one of them, and I was like, ah.
Personal.
That's a personal attack.
Oh my god. Certain like new words I feel disconnected from, because I'm like, this is wild. But then, because it's so common, it becomes such part of the lexicon and pop culture. I actually start using those words, and
Low key.
low key, that's old.
No, no. The Gen Zs are saying low key. Everything's low key. That's
But
low
like,
key amazing.
oh, low key. Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
think it's
like
like, I'm like, low key. I say that all the time.
they repurposed what it actually means.
I don't know.
I
And
don't know
once again,
either.
this is us aging ourselves, but
Yeah, I know.
so I want to ask you, because you had sent me some imagery of your work and some
Mm.
of the project you worked on. I have a genuine curiosity around, like, how did you design the Sonic slush ring? Like, that I saw that in the package, and I was like, I have to bring this up, because it is so cool and random.
It's super random. I know. So I worked with a for freelance. I worked with a company that did jewelry design, and this was a few years ago. Yeah, this is when you and I first met, probably. So 2021, 2022, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And th- it was one of those. It was a job that the company presented me with. They said we have an opportunity to work with Sonic restaurants, and they're doing a bunch of promotional items. And one of the items they want to do is a mood ring. And I used to have a ton of mood rings. I thought they were great. My grandmother gave me my first mood ring, and it was probably from the 60s. So I was familiar, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great idea." So the idea was it was to promote their new slush colors,
Hmm.
and it had to look like a Sonic cup. So that
Yeah.
profile. but it needed to be a ring that would fit on your finger, and then the top portion would be like where the drink was
Like the
in the
top of the
cup,
cup.
and whatever color it would change would indicate what slushy you should order at the restaurant.
I love that
So
concept.
cute, right?
It's
It's so
so
random,
cute.
I know. But so if it turned orange, you would get the orange slushy, whatever. Um, but yeah, so that was the download. It was like to make yeah, ring the shape of a slushy cup, and then to have the Sonic like logo mark on either side. And I worked for probably a few months getting the shape right. So it was a lot of
Mhm.
3D modeling and a lot of manipulation of the shape. And some of the alterations were a little difficult because they're like, oh, just make it really like a cup is a tapered cylinder, but this needed to have almost like hard edges,
Mhm.
and then you could only have certain restrictions as to how you can reduce it, or else the hole in the middle would start impeding the exterior shape. It was this whole thing.
I
And
love that.
and I'm self-taught when it comes to 3D modeling. I just kind of fell into it and
I
took
love
it,
that.
right?
Once again, another what is it called?
High five.
Quiver in your bow, or oh yeah, that too. Oh my god, LOL. I'm dead.
I'm dead. That is so like Gen Z.
I know, DED, dead.
Oh my god. Yeah, so that's kind of how that came to be, and they produced it and they were selling it, and their marketing campaign was amazing. I think that one image I sent you, like the imagery is incredibly bright and vibrant and youthful, and I was
So
like,
fun.
wow. I couldn't have designed it that well. It was so good. Yeah, so that's kind of how it came to be. It was a really neat project. I still haven't received like a sample. I'd love a sample of it.
Opening up the folder, I saw it and was immediately, I was like, what is this? And
Mhm.
the fact that it was Sonic, first of all, how did they find you? Like, how did that even come to be?
Well, the freelance company I was working for, they kind of act as that intermediate, like almost like a
Mm,
manager, right? So
like an
she approached
agent.
me just to be a general designer, and then she's like, "Oh, I heard you do 3D modeling," and I was like, "Yeah, I tinker," and she was like, "I dabble," and that actually might have been the first project I worked on with her. Yeah, it was a 3D modeling project.
Yeah.
Amazing woman, amazing company that was founded by women, and they do jewelry, and she just, I think she was approached because they do such good work, and then she approached me, and then I became her designer slash 3D modeler for a few years, and it was amazing. I worked on some incredible projects, but that one was the first one right out of the gate.
You have so many cool things that you've done. I love the fact that you're able to this sounds so cheesy, but you're like a chameleon. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
You've worked in so many
thank
different industries. You're an illustrator, you're a typesetter, you're a graphic designer, product design, 3D modeling. To me, that is something that I love about the like the creative world, is that we can just kind of go into any and really you can kind of like there's parallels, or like move from side to side. And I think that just hearing you talk about all the things you've worked on is very impressive.
thanks, Gio. Oh my god, I feel so rejuvenated.
Good, I'm glad, honestly.
This is
I
my therapy.
Hey, I won't be charging you twice a week.
No kidding.
But so we are nearing the end. As much as I would love to talk to you all day, like I really could, but we can't have a 3-hour podcast. But I wanted to ask you. So I've been asking every one of my guests
Mhm.
to think about just their life in general. What would you say is the most on-brand thing that you've ever done?
It's a great question. It's really, it's a noodle scratcher
Mhm.
for sure. Okay, let me ask you, what was yours? Because maybe that will help inspire me.
Honestly, I think it's my whole existence. I think I just go in 100%. Like truly, like I think I just go in 100% to whatever I set my mind to. If I say I'm doing this thing, I make it happen. And so I just live my life in a way that I won't, not anymore anyway, like I used to, but I will go into things 100% and say, if I'm doing this thing, I'm doing it and I'm committing. So I think that's very on brand for me. Like
Hmm.
like this podcast, I'm like, I'm doing a podcast. I want to get into it. I'm just gonna go in balls to the wall, and that's literally been it. And now back to the burnout comment. I'm like, okay, maybe I went a little too hard. I need to scale it back. I'm like,
Maybe
this is a
scale it
lot.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, but it'll all work out the way it's meant to.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're at the point where you've realized you might need some help, which is good. Like, get an assistant, get someone to do the editing for your
That's
videos,
a
like something,
loaded
right?
statement. That's a loaded
Don't we
statement.
all need help? I think on brand for me is always trying to find what gives me purpose.
Mhm.
Always trying to find something that inspires me. And I feel like that's a lifelong journey, especially for me, because like I'm so interested in everything and I want to try everything. And there's pros and cons to that because you might start something and then never finish it and just have like hundreds of unfinished projects laying around. And that's on brand for me too. As many projects as I've completed, I have boxes full or like whatever of projects that I haven't completed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think just trying to find my purpose. Like, I do love what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. I love being a designer. I love being an illustrator. I love being a creative. But then what's the next step? Like, where am I going to go? What am I
Yeah.
going to do in the future? And I keep thinking, if I'm doing this, am I missing out on something else? Like, I'm one of those people.
When's your birthday?
March 13th,
Are you Aries? No, Pisces.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, and so not that that means anything, but but
I
like
watched one of your podcasts where you guys got really in depth
oh,
about
believe me,
astrology.
astrology, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Honestly, the conversations have been all over the map, which I love. I'm realizing like I had a goal in this is to like talk shop, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I'm like, you know what? The conversations go where they go.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah.
do, for sure.
What I'm gathering from what you're saying is that I think if to sum up from a third party of
Sure.
what you're saying is that your on brand thing is that you stay curious.
Yeah, I like that. Let's go with
You
that.
know, that you are perpetually curious, and I think that that's important. I had this conversation with someone else a few weeks ago where as adults we tend to lose that curiosity that we have as kids,
Hmm.
and especially as creatives, like you can't really lose that because then it's like what the is the point?
Hmm.
Like if you're chasing money, if you're chasing accolades, like that's not the point. Like what are we doing here, you know? And I to me, I always love working on something new. I think diversifying my portfolio, pun intended in this
Hmm.
case, is something that keeps me going, and I totally vibe with what you're saying. I think it's key for you to continue on as a creative in a career that's actually going to have longevity, because
Yeah,
otherwise what the fuck are we doing?
I love that. That's it. That's my essence. Stay curious. Stay
Yes.
curious. Try everything. If you're interested in something, try it because it might be your next passion. And I've tried so many just bizarre things creatively. I tried out for Canadian Idol back when I was in my early 20s.
Stop,
Did
that's
you? I could see you. I
amazing.
could see you.
I was too young. I think when it came out I was like in grade school.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, I think when it came out I was like 12.
You were probably already 6 feet tall. You probably could
I
have.
think I honestly was. Okay, so you tried out for singing. That's amazing. I
Yeah,
love
just
I love getting to know all these like
right.
hidden
Like just
stories.
take the plunge. Try something new. It's nerve wracking, but like really, it's not. What's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna say no. So what?
It literally I've harnessed this like way of thinking in my life, or I've perfected in my own way, where now I don't get sad about things that don't go my way. It wasn't meant to be, but you put in the effort. Like, so I recently applied for a TV show,
Ooh.
and I was like, you know what? I'm for sure not going to get it, but I was like, I'm just going to do it. I want to throw my name in. I think it would be awesome to do the show, and whatever happens. And I know that's okay. It wasn't meant to be. I'm not going to get butthurt on something that didn't even happen. If it was something that was like I built and then it was taken away from me, or that's a different story.
It's
But
different. Yeah.
yeah, but in this case, I'm like, whatever. And what's the worst they can say? It's you're not a good fit. That's
Hmm.
fine.
Yeah, and it's their loss at the end of the day.
Honestly, I'd make good TV,
I agree.
but but anyway, if people are listening and they want to get a hold of you, if they want to reach out to you, connect with the comic, purchase it online, like where could they find you?
You can find me on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
at _Angie Hodge. Sup. Um,
I'm
and then
obsessed with you. Hmm.
Studio _Alpaca _Comics. It hasn't been updated in a hot minute, but that's where we are for our comic and comic book news. But we are on hiatus right now. The book, I mean, it was being sold at Indigo. It was being sold online. Right now, it's out of print, but our books, I should say, books in general. But we are looking into perhaps getting Code 45 republished through another publisher. So, because
Amazing.
now that it's done, we have that opportunity. So I will keep you posted on social media. If you follow us at the Studio Alpaca, then you'll see when updates come through for additional books for purchase.
Amazing. That's so exciting. I'm honestly pumped for when you get the gas in the tank to pick it back up again. I think that it'll be something that will be absolutely galvanizing.
Thanks, Gio. I appreciate that.
Honestly, I love seeing people do their thing. Like
I
that is
know.
why I
I
wanted
do
to talk
too.
to you and have you on. I was like, this lady is out there doing something that is self-directed. That is at the end of the day is commendable to me, especially in a world where it's not easy. It is not easy. It's very easy to just like default to I work for full time and that's all I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the space to do my own thing on the side. And I'm like the opposite, where I'm like, that is nothing. I want nothing to do with that world anymore. And so I love that you're out there doing your thing. And, I know we don't talk all the time, but I'm like on the sidelines, like, woo.
Same. Like, I think you and I are just like natural cheerleaders, and I feel the
Yes.
same way. I was so excited when you launched your podcast, and I try to watch all your little videos and like them and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think you're doing an amazing job, and you just have this natural charisma, and I hope you keep doing it. And I hope you get 1 million subscribers. Come on,
Woo!
people.
Yeah, I know. I literally think of that song that was going around a couple years ago where it's like another white boy with a podcast, and I'm like, yeah, of course, but who needs another voice up there? But to anyone listening who wants to connect with me on either design or branding, you can reach out to me at geographic.com. Please follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Would love a subscription on YouTube. Leave a comment. Sign up for my newsletter. I haven't said that one yet. That is on my website at geographic.com. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Angela, I want to thank you, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Bye.